Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. Had a viewer last week make their first trip up to the Topoco Lodge, and then they hit me up on Twitter to let me know that they loved it. You will too. Whether you want a riverside meal at the Topoco Tavern, or you want to stay at the lodge itself or in one of their cabins, you got all kinds of choices. Visit topoco.com today, right after the show. Not right now. Give me about 40 minutes, and then click over there right after the show, and you're going to want to get up to the Topoco Lodge. All right, guys, let's talk about the skill position, the players and the positions, running backs, receivers, tight ends. Thoughts on any and all? I will start before we get in. We got some video here for the game too, but I was more impressed with the fact that you actually saw tight ends yesterday. That may be the most involved, if that carries over to the fall. This may be the most involved the tight ends have been in a Tennessee offense since Jason Witten was here. And more so maybe than even then. So I was impressed by the fact that, not that they looked great, but just that they were actually in the offense, because for years, tight end at Tennessee has just kind of been a forgotten man out there blocking first. So tight end surprised.
Yeah, we saw Princeton Fant line up in the slot and run a slant. I almost fainted in the press box. He was lined up wide at one point. It's interesting. You know, we didn't see a lot of Austin Pope yesterday. I don't know if that's a health situation, just wanted to limit, his contact or whatever that is. I still think he's going to be a major contributor, but we'll see. But big picture with the skill position guys, I mean, they just have guys all over that can make some plays. I think in this offense, you're going to be able to see that. There's going to be more opportunity. There's going to be, obviously more plays, and an offense is more conducive. I mean, you go down the list. Cedric Tillman made some plays. Jimmy Callaway made some plays. You know what you got in Velus Jones and Jalen Hyatt. You know those guys, running backs. I mean, they got guys kind of all over that can make some plays for you. And I think they have probably had those last 3 years, and we haven't been able to see it. I'll just tell you.
Thoughts on the skill position play?
I do think they have some good skill players. I think they have some talent there. Some of it's unproven. But I think Jones and Hyatt are going to lead the team in receiving. And then beyond that, I think they've got a lot of folks that are capable of being productive. One of the biggest surprises to me in the spring is Tillman, because I didn't really see anything out of him his first couple of years at Tennessee, and now he keeps showing up. But I think they've got some other good plays. We didn't see much out of Whiteman and some of the other guys that I think are capable. Callaway and Hawley, I think, can be pretty good players for you. Jabari Small, I think Small is a guy that in this offense, maybe I'm stretching it here a little bit, but I think he could be an 800-yard gainer. I think D. Beckwith looks like he's got a chance to help him some. I think skill position is pretty good. Now, it's not at an elite level, but I think it's pretty good.
Jalen Wright, for a freshman, looked pretty good yesterday. Now, again, you got to take into account, was he running against first team, second team, third team, and there were all the departures and the missing man formation on defense. But Jalen Wright, I thought,
you
showed some things.
You could see it in the open field. He's got some wiggle to him.
And Tyon Evans, who really didn't get to do much at all this spring, was such a big recruit. A lot of people thought he would be your number one back, and he didn't get much of a spring just due to injury. So I think you do have some weaponry there. Bob, your thoughts? You're usually negative.
I'm usually negative. I'm going to be positive on the skill position guys, though. I think if you took Tennessee's skill position guys, they're probably right at the midpoint, upper half of the SEC. I mean, I think they've got some guys. I think Small, like you said, a little bit thicker Ty Chandler, I thought, and could have a Ty Chandler-like career, and that's not a negative comparison. I thought he was a pretty good running back. So I don't think skill position is going to be where Tennessee's going to struggle this year. I think you've got enough guys, and you probably have some depth there that you don't have very much of anywhere else on the team. So I think as far as the skill guys, you're in pretty good shape.
One quick thing. I remember when Joe Burrow had that huge year at LSU, those receivers, a lot of people didn't realize that they were that good until they had the chance.
Right.
Now, you had a couple of highly rated, but one of them was like a 2-star. And you had some other guys, and then all of a sudden they're putting up all these incredible numbers in part because of the quarterback and the offense that you ran. I'm not saying Tennessee's going to do that, but I'm just saying it's almost like they've got some hidden gems over there.
I think it's almost remarkable the switch you are making on the offensive side of the ball. I think Helton and Chaney were both handcuffed by Jeremy Pruitt and the offense he wanted to run and the conservatism he wanted to show. And the fact that when they would go conservative and say, well, we need some deep balls out there. I think the coaches, much like the quarterbacks, were a little, what do you want, Jeremy? To go from that on offense to Mr. Wide Open, That may be, we're about to see one of the biggest jumps of the next couple of years on one side of the ball that Tennessee fans have ever seen. And I don't mean just jumps in terms of getting better. I just mean, wow, we were looking at this and now we're looking at that. It's going yin and yang. The other positive, we mentioned some of these skill position players and there's talent there. One good thing about Jeremy Hopper, when you go back and look at what he did at Missouri, and his first year was a big improvement over what they had been, but his second year was spectacular. There weren't a lot of skill position guys that wound up off those teams in the NFL. Those receivers that tore Tennessee up and tore up the SEC and led the league, those were not guys who went in the NFL and had long careers. Running back, they had some solid guys. They didn't have guys that you say, oh, All-American, 5-star recruit. I think that bodes well that some of these guys have some skills that may have been hidden so far. But I think it's positive that this offense has a way of taking even guys that have so-so skills and making them look better. So it's promising that you may be able to add the two together. All right, when we come back, kicking, punting, we haven't talked about that much this spring. Anything stand out yesterday? And then who else popped? Who else popped yesterday that we haven't mentioned yet? Come on back on the Sports Source.